Hi, this is Frank DeMora from the End Times Research Ministry. I wanted to share this story with you in hopes and it will encourage you to be more like Jesus. It says Pastor Jeremiah Stepek, picture above, transformed himself into a homeless person and went into a 10,000 member church that he was to be introduced as the head pastor at that morning. He walked around his soon-to-be church for 30 minutes while it was filling with people for services. Only 3 people out of 7,000 to 10,000 people said hello to him. He asked people for change to buy food. No one in the church gave him change. He went into the sanctuary to sit down in front of the church and was asked by the ushers if he would please sit in the back. He greeted people to be greeted back with stares of dirty looks, with people looking down on him and judging him. As he sat in the back of the church, he listened to the church announcements and such. And when all that was done, the elders went up and were excited to introduce the new pastor of the church to the congregation. We would like to introduce to you Pastor Jeremiah Stepek. The congregation looked around, clapping with joy and anticipation. The homeless man sitting in the back stood up and started walking down the aisle. The clapping stopped and all eyes on him. He walked up to the altar and took the microphone from the leaders who were in on this and paused for a moment. Then he recited, "Then the king will say to those on his right, 'Come, and you are blessed by my Father. Take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. When I was in prison, you came to visit me.' And then the righteous will answer him, 'Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? And when did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you?' And the king will reply, 'Truly, I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did to me.'" And after he recited this, he looked towards the congregation and told them all what he had experienced that morning. Many began to cry, and many heads were bowed in shame. He then said, "Today I see a gathering of people, not a church of Jesus Christ. The world has enough people, but not enough disciples. When will you decide to become a disciple?" He then dismissed the service until next week. Being a Christian is more than something you claim. It's something you live by and share with others. And so, examining ourselves as we look and gaze into the mirror, what are we seeing in the reflection coming back? Do you receive the reflection of Christ standing behind you as you look in that mirror? Or do you see a figure that you can't even comprehend or you dislike because it's not what Christ likes? And even as I look into the mirror and examine Frank DeMora, I examine my life and I examine my motivations and I examine the things that I do. And I reflect because I want to be an example. I want to be that reflection of Jesus Christ. And I pray you would also. Because when that happens, the church will be a carbon copy of our Lord Jesus Christ in not only the reflection, but in our deeds, in the things that we do and how we live. That's the salt of the earth. That's the blessing of the earth as we, the representative of the church, as an example, the mirror of Jesus, go out and touch people, no matter what they look like, whether they be a bum, whether they be some person who the society takes as not one of the pretty people. We need to have the eyes of Jesus Christ. We need to have the heart of Jesus Christ. And it's my prayer today, not just for myself, but all who are watching this video today, that we would live as Christians, so that the day that we stand before the Lord, He'll say, "Well done, good and faithful servant." Thank you. This is Frank DeMora.